Good evening, and welcome to the loudspeaker. I'll try to talk, tone down a little bit, but good evening. Welcome to the June 16th, 2022 meeting of the Mount Judah Municipal and Regional Planning Commission meeting. My apologies that we are a little bit delayed in getting going. Myself coming in here last minute, work does get in the way occasionally. So I was trying to cycle through that and tell people I had other things to do and get off that phone. So with that being said, it's good to have a full house. Good to see lots of folks here this evening. Just as I said many times at our meetings, it just seems long ago that we weren't able to gather and be in places like this together, express opinions, voice opinions, be amongst each other. And so certainly here at the Planning Commission, we welcome your presence, your opinion, value all of that, and grateful for your presence here this evening. So thank you all for being here. That being said, our first item up tonight, I actually want to read something because we do have two members out. Don't normally read it, but I want to make sure everybody is clear of this. The presence, it's in regards to a quorum of the Planning Commission. It says the presence of 5 members of the commission shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of business. Chairperson may, at his or her discretion, wait up to 30 minutes after the scheduled meeting time for a quorum to be present. In the event that a member is required to leave a meeting prior to adjournment and the departure causes a loss of quorum, no further official action may be taken until a quorum is restored other than an adjournment. A majority vote of those commissioners present, and in no case less than 4 affirmative votes shall be required to decide any item of business requiring action by the commission. Whereas we do have a quorum, more importantly, that those out there recognize that it does take 4 affirmative votes for an approval. So with that being said, now our next item up on the agenda is to set our agenda. The only thing that I am aware of any changes on our agenda, and I do have one request. The change would be item 6.1. 6.1 was underneath the site plans to review the site plan for City Station located at 2049 North Mount Juliet Road. That was deferred from tonight's meeting per request of the applicant. It's my understanding that we'll probably hear that next month. So if you're here to see the more information about the City Station at 2049 North Mount Juliet Road, it has been deferred off our agenda tonight. So no action will be taken in regards to that. I had one request of the Planning Commission, and that would be any objection to moving item 6.2, which is review the site plan for Rooms to Go located on Adams Lane, from its current position, second to last on our agenda, up into the consent agenda. Any objection with us doing so? That being said, we will move item 6.2, which is review the site plan for Rooms to Go located on Adams Lane, to the consent agenda. That means it's a short consent agenda for once. Will be heard directly after item 3.1. So we'll hear that when we hear the consent agenda. With that, we will set the agenda as stated. We'll turn it over for our staff reports and begin with Mrs. Hamlin.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everybody the subdivision regulation amendment that I gave out last month will be heard on the July 21st Planning Commission meeting. So we've sent notices out, and that will be placed on the July 21st Planning Commission agenda.
Very good.
And I'm putting him on the spot here, but Charles, did you want to take the opportunity to go over the new state law regarding land use plan amendments this month, or did you want to wait until next month for that?
I mean, we can do it next month when it applies.
Okay.
You can just do it now if you want.
You go ahead.
Starting on July 1st, all land use map decisions are no longer vested solely with the Planning Commission, not Juliet. So if the Planning Commission were to deny a land use map request, starting July 1st, that will still go to the DOC. So it'll be a recommendation item, just like a rezoning input or something.
Very well. Thank you. Anything else, Ms. Hamlin?
That's all. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Barlow.
Thank you, Chairman, everyone here. Let me give a couple updates on some projects. I'm sure everybody's probably seen the bridge widening really starting to take shape. I appreciate the public's patience over the last couple of weekends with the closures that we had there. It actually went swimmingly well. So all things considered, closing down 2 lanes on Mount Juliet Road is a big deal. So as they're still wrapping up the project right now, and so should be done probably, I think, with everything about mid-July, but you're going to see a lot of the finishing touches. The painting of the bridge went earlier this week. Getting that done, it's really kind of, to me, the finishing touches really kind of make it pop. So happy to see that happen. We've got some landscaping in there. You'll see some bridge lighting going on here pretty soon. Probably of note for everybody, they're going to be doing some milling work over, I think, Sunday night and Monday night. I was told by TDOT staff that they're going to be getting to the final lanes starting after they mill it. So they're going to mill the roadway, so it'll be kind of rough. So bear with us on that. Then they'll stripe it, so you'll have your final lane configurations after that. So no longer, if you're driving northbound as of next week, will you have to find yourself in a left turn lane getting onto the interstate. So it's a monumental thing for us. Final paving will probably come about a week later or so, or later that week. So assuming weather stays good. So very excited about that. Did want to let everybody know Waterford Park, South Rutland Road, they're going to be doing about a 2-week closure. It's a S curve right over there where they're going to be addressing that area. It's just best from a construction standpoint, instead of dragging that out for months and impacting the public for months. Just close the road, blow it up, and then start over with it, and do it in about 2 weeks is what they've told us. So we're going to have them start that by the 1st of July. So if something did go wrong on that, they've got a little buffer time before they get back to school. So that is going to be happening as well. And I want to let everybody know as well, I've had some positive discussions with TDOT staff, Greater Nashville Regional Council staff, on project deliveries and trying to get those done. We're really able to drill down into a lot of the hurdles that we have to face a lot of times as local governments with policies at the TDOT, the state and or federal level maybe. And so really trying to hone in on those things. It's been some really good discussions, talking about things and challenges that we face, and really getting to talk with the people who can make some changes in that. So that's been going on this week. And also Shane and I met with Lebanon earlier this week, talking about some options that we might have for sewer service in the future. And so I'm excited about maybe some opportunities that we might have. This is all going to fold into the growth plan that we've been talking about, as far as what it looks like, where we believe we are. I know we looked at it last month, and I think it's coming up for vote next month, on basically not allowing step systems in our UGB. We found out some good information from Lebanon that we can relay as well. And so they've been dealing with a lot of the same stuff that we've been dealing with within their UGB as far as step systems. And that's particularly with the wastewater authority having projects within their UGBs. So it's been some really good stuff, and I'm excited to see these things progress on. I think we're moving in the right direction. Some positive things, some loopholes maybe that we've seen over the past, or maybe just some challenges that we faced as it comes with project deliveries, either public or private. So I did have one other project I was going to let Shane kind of give us an update on.
We haven't had to worry about this now since it's 100 degrees and no rain in sight coming. But we've addressed with the BOC and Planning Commission about stormwater and flooding. Pleased to announce we bid a project to modernize and rehabilitate the detention pond in Mundy Park. Help out the folks in Belinda City. We've got a tentative low bidder. Going to get a resolution on the next BOC agenda to authorize the mayor to sign contracts. Hopefully cut that project loose in July. So we want to thank Collier Engineering. They got this project designed, bid, and out to construction within 7 or 8 months. So want to give everybody credit for that, and hopefully give some relief to people in Belinda City. So
Good.
Thank you.
Got one question, because it looks like they're beginning to mobilize the Central Pike Blind Hill at their Pleasant Grove at the church. They getting ready to start work there?
So the requirements there, we've been working with them with TDOT on how that's going to look. I think one of the challenges there is we've been talking with TDOT about the interchange project itself. So the interchange project is going to blow through there.
Okay.
We have, a scenario there, I'd say, where you don't want to necessarily throw good money after bad. We don't want a situation where we have a development go in and do work, and then a few years later, TDOT comes in and completely blows it out and redoes it again. It's frustrating to the motoring public, frustrating to the property owners you have to acquire from. So we're trying to see about some alternates there, seeing about the possibility of a traffic signal. Definitely have a left turn lane there. I think that's on Central Pike. Really trying to make that as safe of a scenario as we can. We're looking at trying to see how we can get that being an interim type of improvement so that we can spend the right amount of money on that. And of course, the development team, they have a set amount to spend. Whatever they don't spend, we can take that and use that toward Pleasant Grove improvements. So it's not like we, the city, are losing anything on that. When there's federal money coming on Central Pike and having that come through and basically redo everything anyway, then we just want to put the best foot forward. We want to do the right things. We don't want to overload the intersection with traffic with nothing. So let's try to have something in the meantime, but maybe let's downsize it just a little bit. So that's the plan. That's supposed to be in before their first CO. I think we have some flexibility a little bit on time with them doing that work. We originally had it set to be done next summer, but that was assuming that we're going to have to shut Central Pike down for a weekend or something like that. So we didn't want that happening during school. What we're looking at would be more of a traditional widening project, a turn lane type widening project. So much simpler, and I could probably just come in with a development CO.
Good news.
Yep.
Good news. Thank you. Any questions or comments for staff at this time? Good deal. Thank you all. Thank you all for all that you do. Next item up on our citizen comments. This time we'll take citizen comments. Public is welcome and encouraged to make public comment about any item on our agenda tonight. There will be two opportunities for you to make comments. You may speak now, or you may speak when the item is presented to the Planning Commission. We do ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. So just want to say that real quick. We got a lot of people here tonight, which I imagine that usually means a lot of people want to speak. I will look at that 3 minutes, try to keep the meeting moving and hold it to that. So if you're up here speaking and 2 minutes passes, when you get down to that last 2 minutes, if you see me just kind of raise my hand like this at you, it means you got about a minute left. And if you can kind of come to a conclusion to your comments, be mindful and respectful and allow others to speak behind you. So with that being said, anyone that wishes to address the Planning Commission at this time is welcome and encouraged to do so. And please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, we'll move forward with our first item on the agenda. Our first item on the agenda tonight is item 2.1. It's Planning Commission regular meeting minutes from May 19th of 2022. Any typos, amendments, changes, adjustments? That being said, I'm looking for a motion in regards to this item on our agenda. Got a motion and a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. One abstention. Next item up on our agenda is our consent agenda. Begin with item 3.1, which is to review the final master development plan for the Old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary Perpetual Care Cottages located at 251 and 271 Nonevil Road. Also item 6.1, which is or 6.2, excuse me, item 6.2, which is to review the site plan for Rooms to Go located on Adams Lane. Ms. Hamlin?
Thank you. Staff recommends approval with any conditions that we have listed in our staff report.
Well, thank you. Mr. Barlow, anything you wish to add on either of those?
No other comments.
Fabulous. This questions or comments from the commission? Seeing none at this time, we'll open the floor for citizen comments. Anyone wishing to make comment about either of these items on our consent agenda? welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion in regards to these items on our agenda.
So move,
Subject to staff comments.
subject to staff comments.
I will second that. We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? So approved. Next item up on our agenda falls underneath the Land Use Plan Amendment, Preliminary Master Development Plan. Begin with item 4.1. Item 4.1 is to review the Land Use Plan Amendment from Low Density Residential to Neighborhood Commercial for the Old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary Administrative Offices located at 1440 Nonevil Road. Ms. Hamel.
Thank you. I believe we spoke about this last month or the previous month. This project is requesting a land use plan amendment for the Old Friends Senior Dog Living Facility. It's for their administrative offices only. Current land use plan calls for low density residential. They are asking for OPS PUD. As I previously expressed, I cannot support commercial in this area of Nonevil Road due to safety reasons, and it's our job as the Planning Commission staff to follow that land use plan. And it's not my favorite part of the job when I have a sweet family that is trying to sell the property and a sweet family and organization that is trying to purchase this to expand their business. However, it is what it is on this one, and staff does not support the land use plan amendment for this project. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Barlow, anything from Public Works?
Nothing to add.
Very well. Commissioner Hefter, please.
Yeah, just clarification from our city attorney. You said the effective date on any failed land use amendments would go into effect July 1st.
That's correct.
So anything that's voted on this evening, and I'm not making any assumptions here, but would that also account for anything that's on the agenda tonight?
No, it would not.
So it would not. It would have to come after the July 1st. So just
Correct.
maybe a consideration to deferral. But we can still vote on it. That's all. Thanks.
Any questions or comments from the commission?
Got a question.
Please, Commissioner.
Last meeting, we talked about this and how we could put restrictions on the zoning so that, future development would have to come back to us for anything, more dense or any additional services, anything like that. Does what we have in front of us cover that concern?
So the next item on the agenda is a PUD request for this development. We do not allow conditional zoning, which is why we asked them to bring the PUD in. And they have stricken a few of those uses that we deemed not necessarily acceptable on Nonevil Road. And in my report, I've asked that they take those all the way down to professional services, non-medical.
Okay.
And that's the next item on our agenda.
Yeah.
Other questions, comments from the commission? Simply have representation for this project. Duke, name and address for the record, please.
Judy Hughes, 5451 Lebanon Road, Lebanon, Tennessee, and I also have the owners here as well. We were under the impression with what we had submitted under the technical review that we had a chance to get past. So what do you need from us?
We give you an opportunity to speak for your project.
Well, it's absolutely for administrative offices only, for like 4 to 5 people being there to run Old Friends Senior Dog Care Center. Where they're at now in the building, it's very difficult to for them to conduct business well with the dogs and the administrative part of it being together. So they wanted to just have a separate place for just that. And we didn't really see any real problem with that. Since there is commercial, past them, and the measurement from, I think the requirement is to be 1 mile. Well, we're 1.1 mile from Highway 70. And we do have commercial property past them. And I know it was grandfathered in, but it's there. And, we got a market past them on the corner. There's a, you could have a Starbucks there someday with a, C3 or whatever that is, down past them. So we just didn't see that problem with administrative offices only. And I wish you would reconsider it, please.
Thank you.
Jessica Gore, Paradesign, 2033 North Mount Juliet Road. Everything Ms. Huge stated was correct. That's part of the reason you're seeing the land use amendment in conjunction with the PUD zone directly following. They're not proposing any dog boarding here, not just now, but that would strictly be prohibited with the preliminary master development plan zoning. And not only that, they're not planning to tear that building down to build a new building. They're going to use the existing structure. They'll do a parking plan, to add a few parking spaces and make sure it's accessible. And mainly, like she said, administrative use, fundraising, phone calls and things that are hard to do when their dogs are barking in the background. So if you've got questions on the technical side, I'd be happy to answer those.
My only comment stays the same as last month. Love what they're doing. Love their facilities. Obviously, we just passed one on the consent agenda. I think it's bad direction when you put a commercial zoning right in between two houses. The things my dad used to always say, one of your only constants is change. And should that change, it ain't going to change if we've given a commercial use right there, but somebody else could come into that building and do something administrative as well. And it would be a commercial zoning change that's surrounded by residential, right in the middle where there is no commercial. Now, I understand there's commercial on a corner up the road, and understand that we've kind of taken the approach as well to say where their existing facility is should be the stopping point for commercial as it stretches down Nonevil, and let Nonevil be the residential collector that it is. And where I love what they're doing in the community and the people and everything about it. And when they've been people of their word, and I believe them, but it doesn't change the fact that we'd be giving them a commercial use in a place I just don't feel like is an appropriate place for a commercial use.
I would comment.
I'm only one person.
I would comment about that it is a 4-acre lot, and there are extensive buffers that are required with that they've already proposed, keeping the existing landscaping as well as adding additional landscaping for the required buffer against a residential area. If you go up and down North Mount Juliet Road or up and down Lebanon Road, there are many commercially zoned areas that do have residential that abuts them. Mm-hmm. So, it's not like it's a half-acre lot. But I do understand your concern, and we hope that the PUD requirements could alleviate some of that concern.
Then my concern would be the next person that comes in and says, man, that'd be a great place for an administrative office right in the middle of this road. Well, you did it for them.
Well, it
That's
is
my
going to
hard
be an administrative
Yeah.
office.
Yeah, that's my hard one. So,
I hear you.
further questions, comments from the commission? Please, Commissioner Hefner.
That sounds like a broken record, but I do appreciate everything they're doing with the dogs across the street, and I really do. I've been huge advocates and fans ever since they first came before the Planning Commission several months ago. However, it's not an issue that I have with them setting up an administrative office in that building. My issue, which I share with Mr. Winchester, is what's going to happen after, what's going to come next when they're not there, and nobody can guarantee that that's going to remain an administrative office for Old Family Dog Care. So I mean, for this organization, I don't think anybody can guarantee that. So I'm struggling with this quite a bit. So, but professional services and non-medical open it up to a wide variety of other buildings that could be built on that 4.5, 5 acres. So I don't know. So I'm struggling with it. Not.
Thank you. Further questions, comments? Thank you.
I will. Can I make one more comment?
Please.
Sorry. Another consideration, if they would like to defer this until after, to the next July meeting, at least if it does fail, the land use, it would go before the BOC, and there would be another opportunity to have the BOC hear that. I'm not saying I might
Can you
change
give
my
me
mind.
a moment
Sure.
with the owner of the property?
Sure.
The,
I mean, in light of what we learned tonight.
Right.
So.
Please. Let's go ahead. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and maybe make some people here. Let's call for citizen comments regards to this item on the agenda. Any citizens wishing to make comment in regards to this item and are welcome and encouraged to do so, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
So,
Hi there.
my name is Gerald Shufford. I live at 151 Spring Hill Road. This property we're talking about is a 5 acre or almost 5 acre tract. It neighbors 11 properties in 2 different neighborhoods. And I'm absolutely against turning anything in those neighborhoods commercial. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'll try to keep this within the 3-minute limit. I would like to object to the rezoning of this property from residential to commercial office space. The Planning and Zoning Department has recommended that this not be approved.
Thank you.
This is not in agreement with the general plan for this area. The plan was to not have any commercial zoning past the 1 mile mark from Lebanon Road. If an exception is made to allow this business to be approved, how would it be fair to allow someone else that's just a little bit further down the road not to go ahead and have their commercial property put in there as well? The only other business on that road is the gas station down on Saundersville Road and Nonevil Road. That has been there for as long as I have lived in Mount Juliet, I do believe. So I don't see how that could technically be kind of counted as a business because it was already established. The house at 1440 Nonevil Road is a 4,126 square foot home on 4.92 acres. There are 11 properties that abut this property that are all zoned residential that will be all affected by this rezoning. I'm not a realtor, but I do not think having a commercial office space surrounded by residential homes would be of benefit to those homeowners or those homes in the immediate area. If the house is only going to be used for office space for a few people, it doesn't make sense that they would need 4,000 square foot house and 5 acres of lands merely for office space for 4 people. In doing a quick search on realtracks.com, I was quickly able to find 5 properties for sale in less than a 5-mile radius of the sanctuary that are already zoned or close to zoned to commercial. Those properties, there is already a proposal that was already approved just previously before this one for 953 square foot dog cottages and a 2,530 square foot administration building. at 251 and 271 Nonevil Road. Why is more space needed? Those properties are already included in the designated plan for the area. I would like to ask that this proposal, what is this proposal purpose of the remaining property behind the house? If granted this rezoning, I feel like it would only make it easier for the sanctuary to ask for another rezoning in the future that would allow for any type of events or anything to occur with the property that they wanted to do.
1 minute.
That would not be appropriate for such a dense and residential area. We live off of Spring Hill Road and just past the cabin at Noneville on 144 Noneville Road. It's a very quiet residential area. We want to keep it this way. I would like to say that I do support the sanctuary. It's nothing against the sanctuary. We just don't want commercial right there. You've got 11 other properties. It's not just one right next to it and another one right next to it. There are 11 total properties that surround that one property. And there are no other business further down. Now, if there's more on the
36.
schedule, then that's up to you guys. But I'm going to ask and say, please deny this request.
One
We
more
want
thing.
to keep our homes residential. Thank you.
I have one more thing. Come back up. Name and address for the record.
Oh, 161 Spring Hill Road.
Thank you. What was your name? Name? You did
Janice
very
Von
good.
Allman.
I'm sorry.
Janice Von Allman.
Thank you, Janice. Please.
My name is Thomas Friedel. I live at 151 Spring Hill Road. My roommate has already spoken, and my personal opinion is if you start allowing commercial that far, my only concern is traffic is already bad enough on Noneville Road, and I don't see those issues being rectified. You already have new apartment complexes going up. You have plans in the future for more housing through the area, but you guys have not focused on Noneville Road itself. And that is my only concern if you decide to let this go through, because that's just going to add more traffic, more headaches, and more problems on Noneville Road. I would rather see the committee address those issues than trying to zone a commercial property in a residential neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Wright, 137 Spring Hill Road. I'm new to the area, and I haven't done as much homework on things as Janice has done, but I am a neighbor with them, and we moved into that area not to be in a commercial area, but to be in a residential area. We would not like to see a commercial property that close to our property. We spend a lot of money on our property. We like to keep residential, and that's all I have to say. I'm not in favor of this at all. Oh, I'm sorry, but I do support what they do. I think it's a tremendous program as well. So, thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Carl Limbaugh. I live at 161 Spring Hill Road. I've lived there over 30 years, and it's always been a residential, quiet neighborhood, and I don't want commercial.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kinsey Hambrick. I'm 1440 Noneville Road, Mount Juliet, Tennessee, 37122. I am 35 years old, and I have been in Mount Juliet for 35 years, if we're going to talk numbers. Real quick, my house is actually, if you're looking at my house, to the left of my house, there's actually a commercial business being ran beside me under the radar. There's over a 12-foot commercial dumpster beside my house. It does not belong to me. It belongs to a window company. It's been working since 2020. They put that dumpster in, and we've done just fine with them. They are running their commercial business. They do leave cars. There is a dumpster there that they do empty weekly. As well, if you're facing my house, to the right of my house, the house beside me there is also running their lawn care business out of it as a home business. So we're already around two businesses on both sides of us, and one of them being a commercial business with a 12-foot dumpster that I do see every day, and that's not been a problem to this point. I totally understand the neighbors. I would think they'd be just as upset about the 12-foot dumpster and all the people coming and going, because it's usually between 6 to 12 cars that leave every morning and 6 to 12 cars that come in the evening for the same type of business. So as well as there's, glass that's being broke into those. And a lot of times I can see all the trash erupting around it. Not that I have a problem with them. They are actually fantastic neighbors. They're super nice. And they're all the time like, we're trying our hardest to keep it cleaned up for you. But there is a commercial business being ran beside me under the radar. And it's been going on since at least August of 2020. Unfortunately, they bought that with the impression that they had 3 acres, that they could do whatever they wanted to. And they're renting the house out. And that's how they're getting by with it. They don't rent the house and they rent it to somebody else. So they're not even living there, but they're running a commercial business beside me. And then as well as I totally understand why the people don't want a commercial business there, but this is just offices for 5 to 7 people. It's not like it's a McDonald's or a drive-through or a gas station. This is just an office, and there's already 2 businesses literally touching my property side by side. And when you go in my backyard, you can't even see the other houses of all these people. They can't see my house. I can't see their house. And in fact, one of their dogs murdered all 12 of my chickens recently. So, and they didn't want to claim that. Totally, like, just a horrible scene for my 3-year-old. I totally get it. Like I said, MJ, born and raised, but I already have 2 businesses running side by side me. One under the radar commercial. The other one is another at-home business. The commercial business, they don't live there. They rent out the house to somebody else. It's not been a problem. We're all great neighbors, and they have 6 to 12 vehicles minimum coming and going every day, as well as the dumpsters. So I just wanted to put a note, since nobody seems to know that is already going in place. And I would think they would be equally as upset, the neighbors, about that dumpster and the 6 to 12 cars going, because it's actually on their road and not on Nonevil that they're coming in from. So I'd be happy to, I have pictures on my phone of the dumpster if anybody wants to see it. So
We actually know about illegal commercial activity.
Okay.
And it's under investigation, and they will be getting a cease and desist letter very shortly.
okay, because it's almost been 2 years. So
We just started getting complaints within the last month or so.
I actually contacted Ray almost 2 years ago. So
That's the first that my office has heard
Um,
about it.
asking what was going on, because I thought a new house was
Yeah.
being built, because I was like, oh, this dumpster's here to build the new house. So yeah. And there's also been a city guy out there with a city truck with the lights on, writing tickets for expired tags when they first moved in
Yeah.
as well. So I mean, I just saying like that. I
We're
know 'cause-
investigating.
Yeah.
It. They will be getting a letter. We've been made aware of it, like myself and Jill, over the past month or so. So
Okay. Well, yeah, like I said, there's been a city vehicle writing tickets. So for over 2 years.
Great.
But
So
that's all I
codes
have to
is-
say.
Codes is different than zoning, but
Oh.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure to clarify. But thanks for your time, everybody. Go and Jay.
Michael and Zena Gooden regret that they can't be here tonight. They always appreciate working with the city, and I will say, just on behalf of them, they made it very clear that they wanted to be inside the city limits of Mount Juliet, not in the county, and because they had been treated so well here. So we're going to respectfully request a 1-month deferral, and we'll meet with the client. We'll meet with the Goodens. They were out of town and weren't able to be with us tonight, and we will hope to see you back next month.
Sounds like my neighbors might not be happy.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is a request for deferral. Would you, Ms. Gore, would you like to request a deferral on item 4.2?
I thought I did.
Well, we were only here in 4.1. So
I would.
a formal-
Thank you so much. I would like to request a deferral, 1-month deferral for item
4.2,
1 and 4.2.
correct.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'll take the coaching.
Yeah, thank you. So that is a request for deferral, 4.1, which is review the land use plan amendment from the low density residential to neighborhood commercial for the Old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary Administrative Offices located at 1440 Nonevil Road. Also a land use, or also item 4.2 was deferred per the request of the applicant, which was to review the preliminary master development plan and rezone from RS40 to OPS PUD for the Old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary Administrative Offices located at 1440 Nonevil Road. Both those are a 1-month deferral. Next item up on our agenda falls underneath annexation plan of services and preliminary master development plan. First item up tonight would be item 5.1, which would be to review the annexation for the Bender's Ferry subdivision located at 711 Bender's Ferry Road. Please be mindful that we are only hearing about the annexation and not in regards to the preliminary master development plan. And the preliminary master development plan would be discussion of the subdivision itself. This is regarding only annexation. Ms. Hamlin.
The planning staff absolutely recommends a positive recommendation for the annexation of this property in hopes that you guys will do the same and forward it to the Board of Commissioners with a positive recommendation.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barlow, anything for Public Works?
No, we support that as well.
Very well. Thank you. Questions or comments from the commission? Commissioner Heffner, please.
Thanks, Chairman. Just a little background on this project. Came before the Planning Commission 2 months ago. It was a project that was within our urban growth boundaries, and it was coming in as a county project. And at the time, I expressed grave concern over the safety, public safety of the residents that would be living in that neighborhood, and future residents of the city of Mount Juliet, because of the situation happening with WEMA and their inability to properly staff WEMA stations. With this annexation, which I fully 100% support, allows them access to city services, which is our next item that we'll be reading and voting on. So just wanted to provide some background there. Very thankful and happy to hear that this project is willing to get annexed into the city and get access to city services. So anyways, that's all my comments.
Very well. Further questions or comments? Yes, Steph. I guess a magic question for this. Be more appropriate annexation and plan of services. I know we got to separate them for our agenda. That better for you guys to track and keep? That is. Any objection to us just hearing the annexation and plan of services together?
No objection.
Any objection to that? So we want to combine, we're going to combine the two together. So we are hearing 5.1 and 5.2. 5.1 is the review, the annexation for the Bender's Ferry subdivision located at 711 Bender's Ferry Road. 5.2 is review the plan of services for the Bender's Ferry subdivision located at 711 Bender's Ferry Road. So once again, annexation and plan of services only. So everybody should be familiar with that. Annexation, the plan of services is a step that the city commits to provide its services to the property being requested to be annexed. So annexation and plan of services. No further questions or comments from the commission. Let's turn it over to citizen comments. Any citizens wishing to make a comment about annexation or plan of services for this request, just welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
I'd like to point out that the area you're talking about, Bender's Ferry, is essentially a peninsula, in that there's only two ways in and out with Burton Road and Bender's Ferry. I don't know how many houses are out there now. There's thousands. And I realize this proposal was about the annexation, but next thing after the annexation is approval of this subdivision. That area cannot handle the volume of houses that could be put on 145 acres, which is what's at stake here. 165, excuse me, that's even worse. As we all know, that intersection at Lebanon Road and Bender's Ferry is horrific.
as it is. The infrastructure, and I know you're about to talk about services, but the infrastructure as it stands today cannot handle the additional volume that you're talking about putting at 160 plus acres of houses. I mean, I'm talking fire support, utilities, schools, water, sewer, et cetera, et cetera. Their infrastructure is not in place for this. That area cannot handle that additional volume. I'd also like to point out last year there was a proposal to do the same thing at Gilly Road, right off of Bender's Ferry, and that was rejected by Wilson County Planning Commission for the very reason that I'm stating tonight, is that the area just cannot handle the additional volume. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Lois Sabino. I live in Silver Springs at 419 Golden Grove. Pertinent to this very issue, if an ambulance or a fire truck had to come through that intersection at Bender's Ferry and Lebanon Road, there's nowhere for them to go. There's no turn lanes. There's a left turn lane north, but once you turn north onto Bender's Ferry, there's two narrow lanes. There's not even a right turn lane for someone to pull over to let the service vehicles through. It can't support that. Intersection is what would hold up anything going north of that intersection. It just cannot handle any more traffic, and particularly emergency traffic for that many more people living up that way.
Thank you. Any additional citizen comments in regards to these items on our agenda? That being said, I'm looking for a recommendation in regards to items 5.1 and 5.2 on our agenda.
Move to recommend positive recommendation for annexation.
It's a motion for a positive recommendation for annexation and plan of services. Uh-oh. Yeah, you can pick. Yeah, I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? That is a positive recommendation. All right. Next item up on the agenda is item 5.3, is to review the preliminary master development plan and rezone from R1 to RS20 PUD for the Bender's Ferry subdivision located at 711 Bender's Ferry Road. This is the point to where we would talk about the subdivision. As such, I want to start off and say one thing right out of the gate. Many of you know, not everybody here, I've been a member of this body since 2005 now. So I guess longevity here is something. So thankful to Mayor Manis, third mayor as well for the great city of Mount Juliet to be on this planning commission. I will say that one of the things I've never received in my tenure here was so many well-spoken and quality letters that were in my packet, not only when they arrived at my home, but when I got here this evening, I even had a couple more. Guys, no matter what happens, this kind of speaks volumes to the city that we live in. Number one, your turnout here, which I figure most of y'all are here for this. But the time, the attention to detail, the thoughtfulness that was in these letters, easy today to speak out when you don't like something and be harsh, be judgmental, be ugly. And the words that were chosen within these letters were top notch, to be honest with you. It makes me proud to be a member of this planning commission, but it really makes me proud to be a citizen of this community. And so I ultimately received, I think, 11 separate letters myself. And I just want to say they were read, they were heard, they were understood, and I'm grateful for it. And you all should be commended for the quality of those. So to me, that just needed to be recognized before we began this evening, and I believe the other planning commissioners also received such letters. It's something that I haven't seen in my 17 years, so hats off. Well done. With that being said, we will turn it over to Ms. Hamlet.
you. This is the original submittal that was presented for this project back in, I believe, August or September of 2021. As you stated, it is 160.96 acres, and the density proposed is 2.2 units per acre. Land use plan is medium density residential, which follows the requested zoning of RS20 PUD. The average lot size proposed for this development is 7,800 square feet with a minimum lot size of 7,500 square feet. In my opinion, these lots are extremely small for a suburban environment and for RS20, where the normal minimum lot size is 20,000 square feet without a PUD overlay. Further, this development is asking for a waiver for lot coverage up to 40% and a minimum lot width of 44 feet and 35 feet on cul-de-sacs. Requested setbacks are 30 in the front, 7.5 on the side, and 20 in the rear. And I will say that there is 69.75% of this development is proposed for one form of open space or another. They have a proposed emergency access onto York Road, and I do want to reiterate that that is for emergencies only. Subdivision will utilize rear load homes, which will use alleys. However, an alley detail is not provided, and we've listed that in our conditions if it is approved tonight, that we'd like to see some more information on that. 2 entrances on Bender's Ferry are proposed, and before the second one is opened, you cannot have more than 99 homes on one entrance. So at the 100th CO, the second Bender's Ferry Road access will have to be opened. There's a list of amenities proposed in my staff report, if you wanted to take a look at those, which I assume you already have. And the applicant has asked for a 5% residential design standard waiver for the use of fiber cement for dormers, eaves. Staff supports that. That's very minimal in nature. They have a few variances that they've asked for, and I'll go over the ones that pertain to the planning department. I'll leave the rest up to Public Works. One is the 5% secondary materials, which I just went over with you. They would like to disturb 2% slopes with critically designated lots. Staff would support that, and I have a condition on that, which would be the, let me tell you what that condition number is, because I'd like for you to reference that. That is condition number 20. Building envelopes shall not be placed within a 20% slope area. This includes pre-grading conditions. Bulk standards, they are requesting a 7.5 foot side setback. Staff would prefer a 10% or a 10-foot side setback rather than the 7.5. Staff requests 10,000 square feet minimum lot sizes, and this, I would like to see 35% on lot coverage rather than the 40. Should you choose to approve this plan tonight or pass it on with a positive recommendation to the BOC, we have several conditions listed, and I ask that you include those in your recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't want to belabor this too much. We really try to capture everything in our comments within the public works sections, really got them broken down. Probably just kind of help you with the organization there. Public works comment number 1, basically discussing the streets, a lot of which is dealing with the variances and how the sections are going to end up looking in general, supported by us. And then number 2 really kind of gets to, I think, what probably is on the mind of majority of the people who live in the area is the improvements on Bender's Ferry and how that's going to look. I do want to note that we are under design on Lebanon Road, and that is an Improve Act project. So that's a legislative project at the state level. Now, I don't know what the build out time frame on this, but given history of other projects, I'm going to say you're probably looking at somewhere between a 5 and 10 year time frame. I say that's about the time frame that the roadway is going to get built, and so and finished on construction. And so it would coincide well with that. And so we understand that. I think we want to see, we know we've got committed improvements on Lebanon Road. We want to see some capacity, at least extending up Bender's Ferry. And so we try to capture that as well. And then obviously along the fringe of the roadway. So more or less, based on our recommendations here, you've got almost a 3-lane section, I think, basically from Lebanon Road all the way through their project, which to me is, that's not going to happen with the city capital projects anytime soon. We've got much bigger fish to fry. And so that's the kind of improvement that you're going to see only with a development proposal. So I think there's some merit to that. So I just want to highlight that. And of course, we have other comments as well, but I don't want to spend much time on that. Shane? Shane brought up a good point. Bender's Ferry Road presently is a county roadway. It would be my recommendation after we go through this process that we seek annexation of the roadway at least to Mays Chapel. Next logical intersection point. I think it makes sense. I don't like the idea of having a residential subdivision in front of a county roadway and having the confusion on who responds to what. So we've done that. South Rutland Road is a great example. The engineer worked on that project for Baird Farm when they connected there as well. So there we have some really good precedences for that, and that would be our recommendation as we get on into the process.
Questions or comments from the commission? Any questions, comments? Please, Commissioner Cunningham.
Remember, so when this was up last, when it was being approved for the county, what were the number of lots that was being requested for lot approval when it was county land? Was it the number 171 sticking out in my head, but I don't remember. 210? Okay.
Am I supposed to? Additional requests? We can. So you want me to? Oh. I have thank you, Commissioner Cunningham. Want to add a note that that has been requested for me to read and set forth in front as some additional comments or requests per Vice Mayor Justice. One is annexation is required, which that just did receive its positive recommendation. Number 2, it's a request to the furthest point of property traveling north on Bender's Ferry to extend the sewer. No construction traffic on York Road. Number 4 is a privacy fence on northern and western perimeter of project. Fence shall be placed on the interior of the buffer. Number 5, 3 lanes of Bender's Ferry with appropriate acceleration and deceleration lanes as per Public Works Director. 4 lanes at intersection of Lebanon Road and Bender's Ferry with right turn lane as 4th lane. 7,500 square foot minimum lots with a minimum width of 56 feet. So 56 by 135. Side setbacks with a minimum of 10 feet. Number 9, a Class D4 buffer around the entire perimeter. Fence to be placed according to comment number 4. Number 10, number 1 detention pond shall be a wet pond with a fountain. Number 2, Public Works comment number 2. No COs will be issued prior to Bender's Ferry improvements being completed before any COs issued. And number 12, to remove Public Works comment number 7, which is in regards to adding a 6-foot sidewalk on York Road. That is some additional request presented before the commission for consideration from Vice Mayor Justice. So I wanted to include that, and I believe my fellow commissioners have received a copy of that as well. Very well. Commissioner,
Go ahead. Yeah, I've got some.
Commissioner Ifter, please.
Sure. So I'm going to add this to planning and zoning, these blasting restrictions, which is what I have done in the past. So if you've watched these before, you're familiar with them. So I'm going to add a condition that blasting is reduced from 2 feet per second, 2 inches per second rather, to 1 inch per second, which is 50% of the blasting charge, which is allowed by the state of Tennessee. So reducing that charge by 50%. Also, 500 feet from the borderline of the property, certified letters are to be sent out to those residents and commercial properties, letting them know of a pre and post inspection is available to them. So that's 500 feet from the borderline, not from the blasting area, but from the actual property line of the development. The monitoring company that's going to monitor the blasting will hold the contract directly with the general contractor and not the blasting company themselves. That's it.
Commissioner Rash?
I've just got, with the additional requests, the 7,500 square foot lots, I can't support that. We have a standard of 10,000 square feet now, and I think we should enforce that. The other one is no construction traffic. That's great that has come out, but in the development that I lived in, we had signs all over the place. We had complaints all the time about no construction traffic coming in the rear entrance, and it just continued and continued and continued. There has to be some type of proven gating mechanism that stops that from occurring if the folks on York Road are going to be happy about this. I have yet to see a good gating mechanism. Usually it's just a fence with a lock on it, or cattle gates, or something that just kind of doesn't do the job. I would want to see something that just prevents that from happening altogether.
Please, Commissioner Hefner.
I actually have one removal, whatever it's worth. Public Works, number 7, remove the requirement to provide a 6-foot sidewalk along any part of the project that abuts York Road. Sorry, was that it? Was that part of it?
That was removing it.
Number
Yeah.
7?
Yeah.
All right. He got it. All right. Just a double, make sure.
If I guess I got a question. Maybe Vice Mayor Justice, when he comes up, that'll be his question. Very well. Further questions, comments from the commission? Commissioner Cunningham, please.
A little bit more to talk about. It may lead to more discussion. It's a much bigger topic, but so this was brought in here to come into the county, and the reason why I asked the question, so there was 210 lots being proposed, of which I feel like ultimately they have the right to build 210 lots on that land and be within the county. And we as a body, as a city, we want them to be annexed into the city of Mount Juliet. We want them to use our services, and we want them to be subject to PUD approval. And with PUD approval, we're going to have restrictions on the property. So this is more to the neighbors out there. Houses will be built here. We can't stop that. We have to come to terms with that. So it's a matter of, do you want the houses built with the PUD restrictions, or do you want to let it to go to the county where it's less restrictive? And I think we all can collectively agree that we would like to have the PUD restrictions. But my personal opinion with this is that the way it's set up now, the 354 lots, I think is too many for here. But we have to find that balance where it's attractive enough to the developer to not just say, okay, I'm going to go back to the original plan of 210 and do that. I don't know the lot count to Commissioner Rast. You mentioned about 10,000 square foot minimum. I agree with that, but I don't know what that reduces the lot count down to. It needs to be re-engineered to figure that out. Some of these are quite small. I look at, for example, lot number 306. I don't know how any house can fit on that one. I don't know. I can't see enough detail to make a decision here about and Jennifer, you mentioned about the alley load there. I think if you're going to alley load can be a beautiful thing in a neighborhood. Aesthetically, you drive down the streets and all you see is the fronts of the homes without garages. It's really pretty if done correctly. In the back is where I see challenges sometimes, which is going to be if the driveway from the alley is only 3 feet and you just have a garage and a few feet of concrete, there's not enough room to park a car. You can only use the garage. Some people store some things in their garage, have to use their driveway, or have guests over and need to park somewhere. So I think that may be considered already. If it's not, I think it needs to be taken into consideration in this plan. But again, to go back to, I don't think that the density we have here of 354 lots is something that I'd recommend, but I'd want to see something different here that finds that balance somewhere, not down to 210, but somewhere in the middle where we have larger lots and don't have some of these other issues to be concerned with.
Commissioner Cunningham, one of the things I did note on it is a concern I think that we see with the alley load product. We did make a comment on their Public Works 1E, providing parallel parking in those areas because of that guest parking scenario and or resident parking for that matter, because we do see that as the same challenge there. And I do agree with you from a mobility standpoint, from a streetscaping standpoint. The alley load product, in our opinion, is it's superior on when it comes to access on the roadways. You don't have the sidewalks crossing a bunch of driveways. It's safer for use in the neighborhood. I see a lot of benefits from it, and it's not something new. This is something that was done back in the early 1900s. Drive through old parts of Memphis, and you see the very same thing. And so, but the parking is, in my opinion, the number one issue. But we did want to make sure that was captured.
Okay.
Additionally, in our staff report, we have that parking information has not been provided and that 2 spaces per dwelling unit are required and that driveways shall be a minimum of 22 feet long.
Very well. Please, Commissioner Floyd.
Yes, I wanted to comment on the letters that we did receive from all of you. I wanted to let you know, adding to what you said, I read them the same way that I have read this plan, that the development that was before us tonight, and studied it quite hard, put a lot of time in it, and couldn't really say anything better than what Commissioner Justice submitted there, that you read into the record. To hardly even add anything to that, but that would have been a minimal. There was no way that I could have supported at all connecting to York Road in any way, shape, size, or form, even with a bicycle path. It just was not there to be done. And I'm very familiar with that road. I started out with it probably some 30 years ago as a police officer, chasing somebody up in that road. And then it went to I think tar and chip, they call it. And I'm real not sure when they put the pavement on it. I mean, the county done it, and I'm not making light of that. But I think that if it had not ever been in the plan to do, we would have had to study that road a little bit more for how it was built or whatever to even support any kind of traffic, and definitely not the big trucks. But I'm in much support of what has all been said here tonight. Made it much easier, I believe, to try to make a motion when we get to that point. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more quick comment. I too appreciate everybody sending the letters out. I think I got 13 or 14 or so, and I did read them all. And the common theme amongst all of them was the concern of York Road. I think we've addressed that tonight. And I'll address it again at the BOC meeting, because this will get 2 readings, regardless of the positive or negative. It will still go on to the Board of Commission. So we'll get another chance at this. But we have addressed that. I will say that I don't know how you get a house on a 56-foot lot with 10-foot side setbacks. I mean, if you stack 6, I'm 6'2", so 6 of me lying down on the floor. I mean, I just don't know how that happens. So that's something I'm going to address at the BOC. Hopefully, I'll have an opportunity between now and then to meet with the developer and figure out a path forward to reduce the lots on this project, at least increase the size of them. I do very, appreciate Vice Mayor Justice and his additions to this project. I do support those. And with that, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. This time, let's call for representation of this project. Microphone, name and address for the record.
Good evening, Ryan Lovelace, Civil Site Design, or CSDG now. Appreciate y'all's comments. We've had a long road here. We started this last fall to get to this point. Appreciate y'all obviously spending a lot of time reviewing this before today. I know you guys don't have a lot of spare time, so to do that, I appreciate it. It makes all of our lives easier. I know there's a lot of questions, a lot of comments, a lot of conditions being made tonight. Commissioner Hefner, like you said, we have a few more steps here at the BOC to work through some items. We'd love to sit down with you and the development team to figure out those details and make everybody happy. But since you guys have reviewed it so much, I really not going to go through the entire project because you guys have looked at it, but I'm here to answer any questions you might have and really asking for your recommendation of approval to move it on to BOC. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go ahead and open it up for citizen comments. Any citizens wishing to make comment, welcome, encouraged to do so. Come to the microphone, name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Craig Working. I live at 371 Gilly Road. I'm 56 years old. Moved to Mount Juliet when I was 4. Except for a brief period of time, for 10 years, I lived in Hermitage. Now in Hermitage, I moved to a brand new neighborhood, not unlike this development coming up. This one is actually worse than the one I moved into from a density standpoint. The lots that I moved into, the neighborhood, Bryce, brand new development, 1/4 acre lots, 10,000 square feet-ish lots. Lived there 10 years. It was a nice place for 5, but then it started going downhill. The people started moving out, renters started moving in. The quality of the house, the yards, the upkeep, everything went downhill. Crime was on the increase. Me and my wife had small children. We got nervous. We came back to Mount Juliet. Now, we didn't want to experience that here. That's one of the reasons we came back to Mount Juliet. We love Mount Juliet. So when I saw this plan, I read this and I was engaged in the Gilly Road development discussions last year and the issues surrounding that. Now, I worry. I saw the picture of the proposed layout of the 354 houses. Those are stacked on top of each other. It might as well be an apartment complex, really, at the end of the day, if you look at it. And you alluded to it yourself about, the lot lines and how wide they are and the concerns there. Now, we also heard that there was, you proposed to raise it to 10,000 square foot a lot. That's not enough. I experienced that and it went bad. And it went bad within 5 years. So I don't want to see that happen here. Now, it's also been talked about as far as the intersection at Gilly Road and Lebanon Road. Now, we've talked about widening Lebanon Road, down to Bender's Ferry, from Mount Juliet Road to Bender's Ferry Road, making it a 2-lane both ways. But it still goes into a 1-lane for a long time. That is a bottleneck. You're not helping anything with that. It does nothing to stop the bottleneck other than make the line longer up to the traffic light on Mount Juliet Road. And it's just going to extend worse. There's also the proposal to make it 3 lanes up to Joy Church that I saw. That's just an extended turning lane. That's not going to do anything for the traffic either. Now, you're talking about throwing a bunch of houses, more residents, more traffics, and I think it's at 1,012 expected residents. I figure you're going to have another 1,200 odd vehicles going through that intersection just from that one development. Now, this isn't the only development that's being proposed in this area. There's multiple developments already in work that are going to be affecting this intersection that's just going to make it that much worse. Now, where I live, we have low flow fire hydrants, and I'm about 3 miles up Gilly Road. And these additional houses, I'm not sure how that's going to affect the flow of water to my house. We do have times when the pressure goes down, and that's from all the usage in the area because of the low flow. So I think I'm worried that I'll have a bigger impact there about water pressure. And I appreciate your time and letting me get up here and speak. Let me just make sure I didn't touch on everything I wanted to touch on. It does look to me that the developer is proposing the absolute minimum they can propose as far as infrastructure development based on what I've read here. So I'm concerned about that. I mean, I've seen other proposals where they've proposed doing more things that would not cost the city, that they would absorb the cost versus the city. And I don't know how much they're going to contribute towards the additional demand on the schools that it's going to have with the new kids coming into the area. I mean, we're already have capacity issues at virtually every school in Mount Juliet now, and who's going to pay for that?
Thank you.
So I appreciate your time, and I'll pass it off to the next person.
Thank you.
Greg Fast, 451 York Road. I appreciate you guys reading the letters. It means a lot. Don Askew gets credit for that. I didn't think, I like to write notes. Scott knows that. I write him a note now and again. But thank you for considering this. And, Mac and Terry Moss, they've been great neighbors for 25 years and love them, picking daffodils over there. Appreciate that. And listen, business is business. And somebody said, homes are going to be built there. We get that. And, all the years of taking my kids, 6 kids, on golf cart rides back there and enjoying that open property. I know that can't last forever. I get that. But I really like what Ray has put out there. I think it goes along with what you guys are saying. Lot size, 10,000 feet, all that stuff. I don't fully get and grasp. And you're right. I mean, those of you guys on Bender's Ferry, that's just a total bummer because we know what the intersection is doing there. The only last thing I'll say is the York Road, as you said, David, what kind of fence is, right now we got cell towers there and we got some little fence there, but just knowing how people like to wander, and I don't know, you can't put up a Berlin Wall there. I get that. Can't put a 50-foot fence, but what kind of structure can we do there to eliminate some of the concerns of dumping out onto York? That would be really helpful for all of us on York, I think. So I really appreciate your understanding, guys. It's great to be a citizen in this fine community. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Don Askew, 101 York Road. I appreciate you guys' concern for York Road, and would ask you to do that, get a total barrier on York Road, pedestrian barrier, fence, top D, buffer, whatever it takes to isolate York Road from this construction traffic, of course. And look at the plan as I see it here. There's a stub road up to our property. We want the barrier type D to continue straight across the end of that road, be a total barrier, pedestrian barrier, vehicle barrier. We don't want anything indication that that's going to continue. not even a temporary sign like I've seen some places. It could just permanent end. And the comments for larger, from Ray put in larger lot sizes would be, to me, essential. The people, I think, I understand, leaving California to get away from this kind of places, tall and skinny houses. So all those comments are positive. We hope, of course, we all know the schools and roads are overloaded, and really, we'll move to where it's all tied together, where infrastructure and schools and utilities, if they're not there, you can't build. It'd be a great future idea. So protect York Road and the rest of it, and make it the larger lots and better development.
Thank you, Mr. Eskew.
Hi there. I'm Hans Schlegel from 990 York Road. Our property's right there, just south right there. These are going to be our friends and our neighbors because they are going to build something. And I'm not against that at all. But I am against this currently proposed plan. I guess just to kind of understand, because this is all kind of new to me. So when that was proposed, like the no sidewalk on there, so when you guys take the vote on that, is that included in the vote, or like how does that work that way? That would be?
Yes, sir.
And the emergency gate thing, or that access, are we saying no access to York Road at all with that type D barrier? Or are we saying type D barrier with still that little access for emergency?
Right now, staff has recommended that, and no motion has been made, so I can't really speak towards that one.
For it to still have that access?
Right now, it is still there. So
Okay.
it's a recommendation from staff at this point.
All right. So that's really my two issues with it is and thank you for reading our letters with 3 little kids to find time. It was like, all right, this has got to be intentional. I'm like, all right. No, I'm just against the density of the homes and that emergency gate. And as I put in my letter, we lived in a Meritage community for 6 years in Hermitage and moved out to York Road. And we loved it. I don't even know who that guy was that spoke. Yeah, that guy. But I'm like, that was exactly why we moved out here, because that neighborhood had 2 emergency access points that had a gate. And as Commissioner Rast, as you alluded to, those gates were continually vandalized. They were open. It was not. It made for unnecessary traffic, and it ultimately just led to so much crime. I mean, it was not safe at all for our kids to play outside. It wasn't safe at night, frankly. I mean, in any police officer would know, having one entrance in and out, or a contained area on one main thoroughfare is definitely going to be a lot more manageable than having a back alley, a back entrance onto York Road that they can smash through, because it will be. Because we were firsthand, our neighbors across the street had their cars broken into, their house broken into. So ultimately with our kids, we're like, where's it safe? Where the school's better? We're going to Mount Juliet, and found York Road. So I'm just against that. I spoke before the 210 homes. I understand that probably seems more in line. I don't see anything that's different now than 2 months ago when WEMA was still what it was, and the schools were 110% capacity. If we have 354 homes per Wilson County education at 1.5 kids per household, that's 531 more kids going somewhere. And so there's a lot of things I think that we need to address before that. And if we can just be real about it, because we're all citizens here, and Mac and Terry, I love those guys. I'd help get your cattle back in your pasture for you. That's what a farm boy from Ohio does. So if we can just call it what it is, this is a developer that's in Phoenix, Arizona, wanting to put as much homes on a piece of land that they have no tie to or pride in. And this is them doing that from 1,447 miles away from where we're at right now. So I'd kindly ask you to consider less density in homes and no emergency access or gate. So
I got a quick question for you, actually. Because I remember you being here last time. Your letter was awesomely written and preaching about or talking about your past experience with Meritage entrances and what it was that drew you out here. And I think that's all awesome. One of the things that I see here, and you know, my tendency is to go with all you guys, that you don't want anything on York Road. I would dare to say that the developer cares less about any connection to York Road.
Right.
Doesn't have any need in it. They would probably happily strike it from this plan. Probably saves them, my guess, $100,000 or more by striking it. So I would say that they would probably love to strike it. The thing that we see, or staff probably sees, which is hence my magic question, especially because our community's been devastated. In my lifetime, I've seen 3 or 4 roll over Mount Juliet and hit us pretty significantly. This last one was just way more visible, took lives and everything in the process of coming through as the tornado did. Not sure if you're aware of the struggles that our emergency services had to get to those people. They simply couldn't. Something happens with the flood. I've sat on that ballpark board of directors for 6 years down there, was its president for 2 years at the ballpark. And so got down there and rebuilt that ballpark more times than I can count, even from a tornado. York Road is super subject to flooding, trapping you guys back there. And not to mention, if a tornado rolls and takes the trees down, inaccessible. So as a father with those young children, staff sees it as a way to get help to you guys. Strike it. Just say, hey, guys, y'all are going to be on that island, but here's an opportunity to help you. Should something like that arise, should it? I mean, who knows? And so it's one of those things that from our standpoint, I agree with you. It makes no sense to go to York Road. I love the way York Road is. I've been here all my life as well. But then there's that portion that pulls at me and sees a young family like yourself that says, man, if something happens down there, I want these officers and our fire department, our police, our ambulatory to be able to get to you guys. And there's no way to get to you. See the trade-off?
Can I speak to it?
Yeah, please.
All
That's what I would love your opinion on it.
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand how you feel. And when we were looking into it, I felt the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, our house was right by that tornado. I mean, we had debris, we had math books, and we had pencils, and we had stuff in our yard from DCA.
Yeah.
So I completely get it. And I thought about that because I'm like, man, we're kind of out here on a dead end road.
Yeah.
You know, my thought is, and maybe it's just me being more of a country boy, and I'm like, well, we all got trucks on York Road. We can all get through. When we had the flood, the water was gone in 2 hours. And I guess if something were bad, we would all band together, or I would replace the fence later, but I'd probably just cut down max, barbed wire, and I'd drive across that way. So I understand it.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
But at the same point, there's more bad that's going to come from that access point than that one chance that we get that emergency or more. I'll take three emergencies on York Road over the 300 that's going to come in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
So that's how I personally feel.
Yeah.
So
that's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hans. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Hello, I'm Michael Smith, 849 York Road. I really appreciate what all of our neighbors have got up and spoke about tonight. And I appreciate you guys reading these letters, acknowledging it. I've been out there 25 years and thought I found heaven. nice little country dead end road. We do know it's going to change. We understand that. We understand there'll be homes built. I think I'd just like to reiterate, I think every person that lives on York Road is not concerned about having any kind of emergency access gate. I think you could talk to every one of us. We don't want it. We don't need it. As Han said, I got a nice Jeep with big tires, and we'll get out of there if we need to. So the flooding is never a concern. That's not it. We're more concerned with it opening up potential for crime, drive-through traffic. Like I said, gates will be broken. Gates don't stay closed. We know that. Me as a young man, I was probably one of those teenagers that was flying up down the road. And if that becomes some kind of cut through, I assure you, that road, there'll be some teenagers coming up down that road hot and quick and fast. And that concerns me for my family. So once again, we're adamantly proposed to no kind of gate on the road. And I think we'll all can voice that.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Lois Savino again, 419 Golden Grove in Silver Springs. I seem to be the only one talking about Bender's Ferry tonight. I mean, there was one time when my husband and I looked at a map to see if a tree fell over Bender's Ferry Road south of us, how would we ever get out? And Mace Chapel is it, and Burton Road. We'd have to go north and out. This neighborhood that you want to put on Bender's Ferry, it'll be the first. And until you can get traffic out, it's just untenable. If you sit there at 8 o'clock in the morning on a school day, it's a short light going north-south through that intersection because Lebanon Road is more important. And you can sit through 3 lights waiting to go south. And I can't imagine that many more people on that road. I just can't. Was it one of Ray Justice's notes that he would prefer they didn't build until Bender's Ferry had at least a right turn lane?
You can build away.
But
You can't
what's
get
a CO?
Certificate of occupancy, which
Okay.
means that no resident can legally occupy the house until that
Okay,
CO
well,
is
I
issued.
would hope you would at least do that and not wait for the state. Because obviously, if the city does something at that intersection in 5 or 10 years, however long it takes for the state to come through, they may upend some of that construction. But it is money well spent for the safety of all those people you want to put on Bender's Ferry Road and for the emergency equipment. And if they can't cut through on York Road, they're coming down Bender's Ferry.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tracy Horn. I live at 1106 Port William Court, and I just gonna beat the same dead horse about the intersection and how far the traffic backs up and how much time we have to spend just trying to get to our road to where we can turn left. So I would hope that maybe the state would speed up that process of getting that 5-laned, but just having that much density is really going to add to that problem.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Claudia Richardson, 1860 Burton Road, Mount Juliet. I would like to add to the intersection and the traffic. It's also still COVID, and a lot of people work from home. It's not even the entire traffic out on the roads right now. Ooh, I'm a little nervous. Sorry.
Doing good.
That's
Take
the
your
first
time.
one.
We're good. We're good.
COVID is still going on, working from home, less traffic, which is still a lot of traffic. I'm in it every day. Mount Juliet is such a great place to live in. Rezoning and putting so many more people in it's just too much. I'm sure people out in this world that would like an acre for a home and not 3 homes on an acre. So I'm thinking you got now the chance to have a prime property with all this land to make some people like us that like acreage and gardening and maybe a chicken to have a super nice property instead of packing them on top of each other. Boy, I'm not a public speaker. I need to do this more. So those are my points to this. This is land, and there's people coming from all over that would like some property and not be packed in and just go to Nashville to work. Was that good?
That's good.
Thank you.
You did well. Thank you. Any additional citizen comments?
Hello, I'm Cheryl Zenzen, and I live at 4730 Benders Ferry Road. And I just want to repeat the things very briefly, but the intersection there, I was late today because I had an appointment I had to get through. There was an accident at the gas station, so I couldn't get back to my house to get back here. And I do everything I could possibly do to avoid the morning and the evening and just pray. So I hope that I think that letter said that before people move in, that would all be taken care of on Lebanon and on Bender's Ferry. That would be the ideal for me. The lower density, also taking pride in what's in our area. And those people are going to be driving up Bender's Ferry. There's no shoulders, there's ditches, and construction vehicles are already coming up there. Well, they're going to go up there and launch their boat and enjoy all the things that we have in our neighborhood, and taking 300 some odd down to back to the 210. I mean, these are variances that they're asking for everything, and variances don't have to be approved. I'm all for development and all for the right way to do it, but just to look at more people for more money, it's going to cause all of us to spend more money too. And safety is a priority now. I guess that's it. I hope that everything is looked at for the cost of the school districts and what percentage of children will be going in. We need more school buses. We need more infrastructure. The utilities have been talked about tonight. That all plays into it. If our schools are already maxed out, we're all paying for new schools.
1 minute.
Okay. So again, I appreciate being able to sit in on this meeting and hear the comments from you and all the comments mostly from the neighbor and on the social web there. That got me caught up a little bit going on, and I appreciate being here and you listening, and thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Please.
I'm Ray Justice, and I'm not much of a public speaker either. I would say Claudia Richardson got up here, bless her heart. She's, I think, from Germany. She's a good friend of mine and did such a good job of trying to explain, and she did it with her heart. So, you know, when you speak from your heart, you can't do it wrong. And she's a wonderful lady. So I don't know where she went. Guys, about 18 years ago, I got elected up here, and we've been through process, man. We went from having about 8,000 people. Now we're at 40,000 people. There's a reason those people are coming to Mount Juliet. They like the buildings. They love the proximity to Nashville. Nashville is a suburb of Mount Juliet, and we've developed what we've got here, the standard that we've got here over a period of many, many years. Actually, this is our 50th year in existence. So those people that got elected out here 50 years ago this year started the process of making Mount Juliet better. So what we have seen is a plan that I personally, as the commissioner for that district over there, did not like. I made it well known that I didn't like it. There were some opportunities that were taken to try and circumvent the city of Mount Juliet. We're back. And the suggestions that you see bring this closer to, I'm not going to say they bring it to an acceptable level, but they do bring it closer to an acceptable level. And that's the reason that I've submitted those. Talked to our planning staff, and they did an excellent job of going through here and pointing out how we could fix this and make it better. I am absolutely 100% in favor of this development.
I want it to happen. The Mosses, I've known them my entire life. They're good people. This is an opportunity that their families put together over a period of many years that now they can capitalize on. And we bring more people to our city. Now, again, this is not the perfect plan. The suggestions that we have gotten from the staff and planning staff, and Commissioner Hefner's been involved in those, and thank you, Scott, for getting involved in that. Those make it better. It makes it appealing, at least to get to us, so that we can work through the process of getting this approved. So if y'all could pass this tonight, or at least get it to us at the Board of Commissioners where we can vote on it. I also want to thank the many phone calls, folks from York Road, who are my dear friends, for the attitudes that they have. As Mr. Winchester pointed out, we don't get very many nice phone calls. Those aren't the calls we get. So when you've got Greg Fast and Don Eskew and so many, and Hans and those people that have a good attitude when they talk to you instead of wanting to beat the mess out of you, you really appreciate those phone calls. So I want to thank the folks on York Road. I want to make sure that whatever we do here tonight, York Road is protected to the nth degree. That is a location in Mount Juliet that's very, very pure, and I would like to see it stay that way if we could. So thank you for your consideration. Thank you for what you've done tonight. I hope we can move forward with this and get a positive recommendation, at least to get it to the planning or to the city commissions with the pieces that we've been able to put in, and hopefully, I guess, will amend the plan. Yes, sir. So appreciate any help you give us. Yes, sir.
I got a couple questions for you real quick.
Go right ahead.
So that when we do move it forward, that we can get it cleaned up in order to get it to you and include the comments that you've shared with us here, which I think are really all good. Just a couple side notes to make sure that when a motion, however it may be, is made, that we get them included here properly. Just a couple things that I see on here to make sure that we get it right and clear when it comes forward. One of them was, we had number 7 was 7,500 square foot minimum lots with a minimum width of 56 feet. So they give them 56 feet by 135. What about a thought? I look back at staff comments, says bulk standards, average lot size for this development is 7,800 square foot with a minimum lot size of 7,500. Would you like to bring it up to the bulk standard of its average and just say, it's 300 square feet more, and bring that to 7,800 instead of 75?
At this point, we passed an ordinance with 10,000 square foot and minimum. The ordinance actually calls for 10,000 square foot minimum with a minimum average development of 15,000, which means there should be an equal representation of 20,000 and 10,000 square foot lots. When the negotiation process, because this is a planned unit development, when that negotiation process came through, there were some issues that they brought up, and they felt like they warranted us to be able to negotiate and move down from the 10,000 that I had requested down to the 7,500.
Okay.
Now, I don't have a problem going to the 7,500 square foot lot. Hold on. What I do have a problem with is when you have a 44-foot wide lot at 7,500, that means it's 170 feet deep. Okay, that's great for an RV. It ain't good for a house. And what happens is, and I don't remember who said it, these folks, they come in here and they build these subdivisions and they take off and they run back up here to Franklin or Flagstaff, Arizona, or wherever they may be going to. They leave us to get the phone calls. With a 7.5 foot side setback as opposed to a 10 foot, which is our normal requirement. So it's the lot size.
Okay.
The lot size at 7,500, I don't have as much of a problem with as a minimum as I do the shape of the lot. This is an opportunity for them to try and put, as I think it was Han said, as many houses as they can possibly pack in there.
I think if you go your 10-foot setback, it'll probably cure a lot of that.
The problem with that, we found in talking to planning staff, if you put a 10-foot side setback in on a house, on a lot that is 44 foot wide, and you got two sides over, you just reduce the potential lot size or the house size down to a tiny home.
Prius RV.
Huh?
A Prius RV.
Exactly, a Prius RV, correct.
Let me throw one more at you real quick, just
Yes,
to
sir.
make sure we get it all right. They do have, staff did put in here already as one of their comments, item number 3, minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet. There's what staff has in here. So we get that. You're really, I guess, that 7,500 square foot minimum lots or minimum width of 56 feet is really what you wanted that to say. Was
I would
just
like for it to be
minimum
bigger in width, just so that we've got some
for the time.
conforming lot sizes.
But for the time of moving it forward, just minimum of 56?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The only other one that I had, if we remove everything on York Road, Public Works comment number 3 was to bring the subdivision back to regulation 4-103.401 of the subdivision regs, which were to improve York Road should be improved along the project frontage in order to bring up to minimum standards set forth in subsection 4-104.4 tables 1 and 2 as shown on sheet C100. Also provide a cul-de-sac meeting current standards and multimodal facilities as required. Provide right-of-way reservation along the Walcott properties for a future extension of York Road. You want to strike that comment as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
I mean,
please.
that basically takes everything off of York Road with the.
Which is my intention.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw that one right. Yeah, I saw that one right there and just wanted to make sure that that we had that properly in there.
I would like to commend staff at this time.
Yeah.
One of their concerns is not necessarily for the subdivision. Their concern is more for the folks on York Road, and whether there was a gate coming out onto that property or not. At the same time, in all my years working with the Wilkes County Sheriff's Department, I've seen several of those where they were unsuccessful. Mr. Rass brought that out, and you were right. And what happens generally is that you've got a subdivision that is in the city with a crash gate or a gate of some type that it goes out into the county. City doesn't want to fool with it, and the county doesn't really need to fool with it. There's so many miles out there. So, I mean, if they didn't want a crash gate out there, as much as I think it's probably a good idea, I'm going to go along with them and at this point suggest that to add that in to eliminate the crash gate. And it takes away the opportunities for some of our little Nashville hoodlums come up here and create havoc.
Perfect.
So,
Yeah. Wonderful. That's all I had. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any additional citizen comments? Only one time per the meeting. Sorry. Just one time. Any additional citizen comments, please?
Still a citizen.
Hello, Matt Woods, 130 Catherine Dell Lane, Mount Juliet. I wasn't going to speak. I figured I should. I am one of the reasons why they're building the subdivisions. I'm a transplant. Moved here a year ago from Illinois. I would say the suburbs of Chicago, but we're not trying to affiliate ourselves with them because we're crazy. So we're from Illinois, moved here a year ago, picked Mount Juliet because it was by far one of the best places that we felt we could continue to raise our family. I have 2 boys at home. Love it here. Love the people, love the community, love everything about it. Everything. Live up at the north end of Bender's Ferry, 6 miles from Lebanon Road. Drive that single road to get in and out. Got to go to the grocery store, got to make a plan. This is all from Providence. Make sure you get everything in there because if you miss it, it's an hour back and forth. Adding in that subdivision, again, we knew moving up there, there's a whole lot of farmland. And this is only the first. There's going to be a lot more because there's a lot of space up there. Bender's Ferry, love Bender's Ferry. 2-lane country road. One of the reasons we moved up there, again, knowing that they're going to build there eventually. Coming from Illinois, we had the postage size stamps with the rear lots, with the alleys, all that stuff. We also had a million ways out. It's a grid system. You could make right, left turns. You'd be out on the main road in 10 seconds. We have one way in, one way out. You talk about the emergency access road for the new development. We have Bender's Ferry. You can go over to 109 if you want, but that's way out of the way to get to the Mount Juliet we need to be getting to. So again, I don't think this development at the current status, being as condensed as it is, again, we moved to Mount Juliet because it's peaceful. It's spread out. There's a lot of open space to look at. If you start putting these, I don't want to say cookie cutter houses on top of each other, it's going to take away from that. And that's part of the draw here. That one of the reasons we came here. Again, no, it's going to be built. I'm not objecting to that. Bender's Ferry, that it needs to be improved if that's going to happen. Because again, we're at the back of the airplane. Right now, the airplane's 3/4 empty. As those farms start turning into homes, again, we're going to be at the back of the airplane. Again, I'm not complaining because I like it up there. But getting back down Bender's Ferry, again, our only exit out of our community is going to be nearly impossible. And it shows on school days without the development even there. So I thank everybody for their time. Thank you for welcoming us in the Mount Juliet. And appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Linda Atkinson, 940 Point View Circle. I just want to support all of my neighbors on Bender's Ferry. We do live on the end of Burton Road that's closer to 109, but we are also limited to only 2 accesses in and out of our subdivision, either Burton Road to 109 or Bender's Ferry out to 70. I agree with everything that's been said. If this is not done appropriately, it's going to create more of a problem. We, in our subdivision, the last development that I remember being brought up was the Camelot Cove subdivision, which is right across from our subdivision. And it was done right. The houses are big, the lots are big. And so there's not just a ton of traffic that comes from that subdivision out onto Burton Road. And if they do this subdivision right to where the lots are bigger, then it won't be quite as bad as if what they're trying to do right now. So I just wanted to support everything that's been said from my neighbors on Bender's Ferry.
Thank you.
And thanks for the chance to talk.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any additional citizen comments? Wonderful. Seeing none at this time, we'll close our citizen comments, at which time I am looking for a, please.
Reminder. Just real quick, and as a reminder, this is the first step in a 3-step process. This will have 2 readings at the BOC. So this is not final by any means. We have come a long ways from what we reviewed 2 months ago. Please keep that in mind. There is a risk that if we end up in litigation over this, that we could be seeing that same plan that we saw 2 months ago. And with it coming in as a county, we lose all of these restrictions, all of these asks, the road improvements being made on Bender's Ferry before the very first issuance of a CO. That goes away. Closing of York Road permanently or temporarily through, that goes away potentially. So there is a fine balance. I mean, we're asking a developer to front a lot of infrastructure. And to do that, it does require a little more density. So what that fine balance is, we're going to soon find out. So I don't agree with the lot sizes, not a fan of them. We're going to see if we can't work something out to find some middle ground. But we have tonight, we've come a long ways from where we were 2 months ago. So we do have 2 more shots at this. And that's all I have.
Thank you. That being said, this time I'm looking for
One last
comment from
question.
Commissioner Rast.
Just for clarification, where do we sit with that entrance and that gate? If we were to make a recommendation,
Remove
what
it.
is the recommendation going to say?
Probably removing it is what I hear.
Remove it? Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah. What type of buffer is around this?
I actually had some additional comments. In meeting with Commissioner Hefner and Vice Mayor Justice today, a D4 buffer around the entire perimeter has been requested, with the exception of a fence removal for every portion except for, I don't even know how to describe it to you, but right here along the dead end of York Road and here along the remaining Moss property, same family but different parcel. They've requested a Trex type fencing to be placed on the interior of the buffer. A D4 buffer is 20 feet in width. And there will be no fence required in any other area except for this. So ultimately you're approving a D4 buffer, removing the fence except for in these two different locations. Fence shall be located on the interior of the buffer, not within a lot. Buffer shall be maintained by the HOA.
That it?
I'll make sure to capture this somewhere in a
Yeah,
minute.
capture that one on video.
Yes.
I guess that would be your
northwest
to westerly boundaries. Yeah, would have to be how you would put a description to that.
Also,
any heartburn on with the Trex type? I'm not even sure that Trex makes a 6-foot fence. I'm not even sure that you can get a 6-foot composite material for fencing.
just because of the shortage. I know they have one
I
at
don't-
Amazon that we requested, and it's very nice.
I don't know if it's probably a PVC.
That's fine too. Low maintenance. We're not asking for a wood fence because they just get dilapidated and nobody maintains them. So a low maintenance fence, Trex, PVC, but I do know they make them because Amazon has one at our request and it's very nice.
I think probably what you're talking about is a maintenance or a low maintenance, opaque fence.
Yeah.
Probably. Composite.
We'll just call it a low maintenance fence.
Low maintenance.
Not sure what that is,
Staff
but we're going to
can-
get us a low maintenance.
Well, let's go composite.
They can work with staff on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, there you go. I agree. Yeah, one more.
Yes.
Ms. Hamlin, please.
Number 17, we have consider monument walls for the entrances, and I'd like, with you guys' support, for you to change that to developers shall provide monument walls for the entrances.
Okay.
And just make sure y'all have on Public Works comment number 2. I know Commissioner Hefner and Mr. Barlow went over that as well, but right after number 2, Bender's Ferry improvements, all shall be completed by the issuance of the first CO.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. Perfect.
And
Yeah.
y'all have delete number 7 on Public Works comments. Provide the 6-foot sidewalk along York Road. Delete that. Thanks. I just want to get that on record for Tyler.
Thank you.
I have a couple of notes, I think, out of that as well. I think one, I would ask the question, we talked about the right-of-way designation to, what's the property? Walcott property. I'd ask the question if that actually has any legal access today. I don't know that it does based on the plat history I've looked at on this one. I had a question come up a few years ago on this property of if it had right-of-way access, and I didn't find it at that time based on my deed searches and plat searches. I don't know that we could legally cut it off if we've got a development plan in front of us. That's just a note. I think that's just something we have to keep in mind. The other thing is on the emergency access. I was responsible when the tornado hit for seeing that crews get in and out through subdivisions and in areas. We had some really congested areas. It was horrible. I had to call my crews off because we couldn't get in and out of there. We could not literally get into areas to service some of these. Catalpa, the entire Catalpa neighborhood, we had to have police. I know there was people wanting to get in and out, couldn't get in and out, wanted to see their family members, see their homes. They had difficulties just getting in and out of there, even if just trying to get around trucks and dump trucks. Triple Crown, still a cul-de-sac. 300 plus homes, I think now, still a cul-de-sac. Now it's going to connect to Kelsey Glen, but it's still a cul-de-sac today. Not once, but twice in a 2-month span did we get that roadway. Basically, we had issues with it. The roadway got cut off in the May storm after the tornado. All those trees blew down over the roadway. You can talk to Mayor Manis about that. I know he was out there during that event. That was quite an undertaking. That road was blocked for several hours until everybody could get the trees out. We've been responsible in multiple times. Old Lebanon Dirt Road got washed out. It's been washed out multiple times. I had Woodridge get washed out. I've had too many occurrences where roadways have been compromised. I think it's short-sighted and foolish to take that out, in my personal opinion.
Thank you. Well said. That being said, I'm looking for a recommendation to this item on our agenda.
He just said, like, Kelvin's just not on the stage.
I will make a motion for a positive recommendation. Subject to the following. Well, hopefully have my arms around this. Item number 5 on planning and zoning comments, strike the last, second to last 2 words, strike York Road from that statement. 6-foot wide sidewalk is required along Bender's Ferry Road. For that comment to read as 6-foot wide sidewalk required along Bender's Ferry Road. Also, item number 17 underneath planning and zoning, to change that statement from consider to provide monument walls for the entrances. Item Public Works comment number 2E. The final sentence of 2E shall read, improvement shall be completed by the improvement shall be completed prior to the issuance of the first certificate of occupancy. Building permits will be withheld thereafter until completed. Remove Public Works item number 3, which does take the connection away from York Road. And I'll say I do that reluctantly because I absolutely agree with Mr. Barlow. And so I have a lot of hesitancy in that one. And I will add the comment that I hope that the Board of Commissioners considers adding that back in. I feel like that it's our responsibility for the safety of everybody when the opportunities do arise, and agree with Mr. Barlow. I have actually a question in the process of this. Item number 6 underneath Public Works says provide variance request to lower any design speeds to prevent speeding within the neighborhood and provide raised crosswalks or approved. Do we need to grant a variance? Is that what that is saying?
I think that was a request. Yes, it was part of their formal request. Basically, we support that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very well. So that's, then we'll leave that comment there. We will strike public comment or Public Works comment number 7, which is provide a 6-foot sidewalk along any part of project that abuts York Road. With the addition of sewer to be ran to the northernmost point of the property along Bender's Ferry Road. No construction traffic shall go upon York Road. A privacy fence on the northern and western perimeter of the project. Fence shall be placed on the interior of the buffer and be maintenance free of type. 3 lanes of Bender's Ferry, although I think that this is addressed in Public Works comments, but 3 lanes of Bender's Ferry with appropriate acceleration, deceleration lanes as per Public Works Director. Mr. Barlow. The interchange at 4 lanes at the intersection of Lebanon Road and Bender's Ferry shall be a 4-lane with the 4th being designated as a right turn. Minimum lot width of 56 feet. Class D4 buffer around the perimeter. Number 1 detention pond should be a wet pond with a fountain. And blasting restrictions reduced to 1 inch per second. And adjacent properties within 500 feet shall be notified with a certified letter notifying them of such blasting. And the blasting shall be monitored by the blasting company, contracted with the general contractor. And I think that makes my positive recommendation. I think staff already had that as a comment. 10-foot setbacks, yeah. I think that yes, staff already had it. Number 2, item number 2 in planning and zoning. So including staff comments, side setback should be a minimum of 10 feet. That is a positive recommendation.
Can I add one more?
Please.
I'd like to add one more to that. We're going to restrict the number of rental, 10% of total homeowners. So 10% maximum at any given time to be rented out in this community.
And I'd actually like to add another condition to provide the covenants and restrictions,
To include that within the covenants and restrictions.
and to provide us a copy.
And provide a copy.
Is it a second?
That's the second.
Accept that as an amendment in addition to the motion or the positive recommendation. With that, we have a motion for positive recommendation with the second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? Is a positive recommendation.
I'd like to add, this will be placed on the July the 11th. Is that correct?
Very well.
BOC agenda, first reading, July 11th in this room, 6:15. July 11th.
Very well. Thank you all. Next item up on our agenda is going to be item 7.1, which is to review the amendment to the Planning Commission bylaws regarding canceled meetings. Who's got, Ms. Hamlin, is this one going to be you?
I
Give
have
me just
highlighted, I'll
Pause.
wait.
Yeah. Give me just a pause real quick.
I was just so excited to
Thank
adjourn.
you.
They have got.
I agree. All right, here we go.
I know.
Please, Ms. Hamlin.
Thank you. we've discussed this several times. We've had a couple of canceled meetings due to COVID or weather events, those types of things. So this basically gives our city manager the authority, after consulting with the planning director and our chairperson, to postpone or cancel a meeting due to inclement weather, those types of events. And then that also, in doing so, gives the chairperson the right to either have a special called meeting in lieu of that canceled meeting or rescheduled, or just move those items on to the next agenda. That way we're not in a situation where we are at staff level having to approve certain items due to time constraints, et cetera. I think this is a great alternative to that, and I hope you agree.
Questions or comments from the commission?
Absolutely needed.
Yeah.
Totally needed.
Mr. Michaels, this addition to our bylaws, is that acceptable as regards to notification? Because I know that due to our cancel meeting that we had to just grant some automatic approvals that we were not necessarily excited about. So is this?
Well, I would add to also contact the city attorney before postponing certain items or not rescheduling quickly. I guess you can find good language for that.
We'll come up with something.
Perfect.
And he's saying, in other words, some applications require 45 days and they have to be approved. So
okay,
in that case, he would want us to consult with him whether we need to have a special called meeting just for those particular items, or if it's something that we could just add to the next agenda as scheduled.
okay. I would say let's, should we amend to add that, or should we try to add that statement right now so we can go ahead and pass this and get it of record?
If you're okay with us working with the attorney to add that, then you can approve it tonight, and we will certainly do that and provide you guys a copy at the next meeting.
Any objection from the commission to that being done? Very well. At this time, let's call for citizen comments in regards to this item on our agenda. Any citizens wishing to make comment are welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone, name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion in regards to this item on our agenda.
Motion to approve based on comments and recommendations. Work with the attorneys.
And that's a second.
Yeah.
He's quick. He beat all you. That's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against, abstentions. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Motion, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against, abstentions. We are adjourned.
That was the shortest.